Hello everyone and welcome to UK Foundations. I'm Uttaraditi and today we'll be doing the rest of the question and answers of life processes. So in the previous video we completed up to the 58th question, which is the advantages of having four-chambered heart, and today we'll be starting the 59th question, which is mention the major advantages events during photosynthesis. So the major events that takes place during photosynthesis are, we need to be telling about that. So the first event that takes place is absorption of light energy by absorption of light energy, let's write it as LE, light energy by chlorophyll. Okay, and the second thing is, so first it will absorb the light energy. Now the light energy gets converted into chemical energy so that the plant utilizes it. Okay, so this will help in the conversion. Third step is the splitting of water molecule. So water molecule splits to form H2 and O2. You have to balance it. Okay, there are two oxygens here, so drop a 2 here, four hydrogens, so put a 2 here. Okay, so it's balanced, and you have to write the statement and the reaction as well. Lastly, the conversion of carbon dioxide or the reduction of carbon dioxide to form carbohydrates. Okay, carbohydrates. Yeah. Okay, so actually in your textbook they haven't given us 4 points, they have given it as 3 points. These two they have given it as 1. You can split it and write according to the marks that are allotted. Okay, next, in each of the following situations, what happens to the rate of photosynthesis? So how are the rate of photosynthesis being affected? Okay, during a cloudy day, what happens is the rate of photosynthesis will reduce because the availability of sunlight will be low. Correct, because in the sky the sunlight will be blocked by the clouds. If the plant, no, these don't look like clouds, but still. Okay, and if this is the flower or the plant that is longing for the sunlight, that much of sunlight will not reach it, right? So the rate of photosynthesis will reduce over here, it will decrease. Okay, next, no rainfall in an area. This also affects the plant because the irrigation facilities will be low, but you can look for alternatives, like the farmer itself can irrigate the land through other means like using dams, rivers, wells, etc. So rainfall will definitely affect those areas where it is extremely dry, there is no other sources, that time it will affect. Next, C, good manuring in the area. So this will support the plant definitely. If there is manuring, very nice, well and good. But if there is absence of manuring also, up to an extent, the plant can use the nutrients in the soil. In the soil itself, there will be availability of nutrients. So up to an extent, it can utilize the nutrients in the soil. Stomata gets blocked due to dust. So what will happen if the stomata is blocked? What is the usage of stomata? Exchange of gases takes place, right? It looks like this. These are the guard cells, then you'll have the subsidiary cells, isn't it? Okay, so through this stomatal pore the exchange of gases takes place. So if it is blocked, then the exchange of gases will be affected. Okay, so like carbon dioxide, photosynthesis will definitely be affected because absorption of carbon dioxide will be harder and release of oxygen will be harder, everything will be affected. Okay, so this is the question. So 59 is done and 60 is done. Moving on to 61st question. Name the energy currency in the living organisms. When and where is it produced? So the energy currency is called as ATP. Okay, adenosine triphosphate. adenosine triphosphate. Okay, this is the energy currency, and during the respiration, if we talk about human beings, the respiration that takes place is aerobic, and during that the energy is released in the form of ATP. This is called as energy currency, and the place where it is produced is called as mitochondria. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell because it produces this energy called as ATP. Okay, so what is the use is mitochondria will produce this ATP, right? So the rest of the cells will utilize this ATP to do their processes, like maybe for if you want to run, that time the energy can be utilized. And yeah, so these are the uses of ATP. Okay, so next let's take another color. What is common for cuscuta, ticks and leeches? So if you remember the three types of the three types of heterotrophic nutrition, one is saprophytic, next is parasitic, next is holozoic. Under parasitic, this is parasitic, and the different types are cuscuta, ticks and leeches, the examples of parasitic mode of nutrition. So the common thing is they are parasites, they grow on the bodies of the host, and they retrieve their nutrition from the host without killing them. They don't kill the host, right? Even in humans, in human hair, lice will grow. Like it's expected in females, the lice will grow. Because of the lice, it doesn't kill us, but it is going to take the blood from us, right? This is being seen. So yeah, and always it is not a benefit to the organism, the host. It is always a negative thing for the host. Okay, because their nutrition, whatever we are eating, is going, it's a part which is given to the animals. So the common thing is they are all parasites. Okay, done. 63. Explain the role of mouth in digestion. What is the role of mouth? First is, yes, so the first step is it helps in ingestion. The process of ingestion starts from mouth, means intake of food, it's from mouth only. Number 2, the presence of teeth is in mouth only, which helps in the breaking of food, right? The food is broken down into simpler particles because of the teeth. So this is called as mastication. Okay, the breakdown, they are broken down into simpler parts, into simpler forms, so that our body can easily take off the nutrients that are present in them. Mastication, CATION. Okay, mastication takes place. Number 3 is the saliva. What is the role of saliva? Saliva softens the food. It will help in the easy movement of food, the further movement. Okay, and the presence of salivary amylase. Okay, salivary amylase converts starch into simple sugar or simple carbohydrates. So these are the work. So the 4 steps, the 4 different usages, if you mention, you will get marks. What are the functions of gastric glands present in the walls of the stomach? So you can explain all the different enzymes present in the stomach. Let's just take some place. So the different functions. So what are the gastric glands that are present in the stomach? It is our pepsin, mucus and HCl. So the individual roles, we have done it a lot of times. HCl helps in, it has 2 roles. One is it activates pepsinogen, and yes, it is pepsinogen. Pepsinogen is an inactive form of pepsin. Okay, so it helps in that conversion, and also it kills any kind of germs and bacteria and all that enters our stomach. And another is mucus, that protects the inner walls of the stomach from the action of HCl. Number 3 is pepsin. Pepsin breaks down proteins. Okay, proteins into amino acids, those and all will take place. Okay, now we have them match the following. Let's do it. Okay, trypsin helps, trypsin is produced by the pancreas. Okay, it's 1. Amylase, salivary amylase is present in the saliva, so it's 4. Bile is liver, number 2. and pepsin is a gastric gland. So it's 1, 4, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 4, 2 and 3. Yes, this is correct. Moving on. Name the correct substrates for the following enzymes. So what are the functions of like trypsin, amylase, pepsin and lipase? So trypsin and pepsin, for both of them it is protein digestion. Protein digestion. Okay. And salivary amylase is for starch. And lipase is for lipids. What are lipids also called as? They are fats. Okay. You can write it as fats. So this is also done. Now 67. Why do veins have thin walls as compared to arteries? So this is an important question. Why are veins having thinner walls? In arteries, okay, the flow of blood is from the heart to different parts of the body, except for pulmonary artery. Actually in pulmonary artery also, our pulmonary artery, it's from heart to lungs, but it carries deoxygenated blood, so that you can remember. But anyways, in both of them the heart is pumped from the blood is pumped from the heart to different parts of the body, so the blood flows with high pressure. So the walls of the the arteries should be thick so that they do not explode, right, because of the pressure. But in veins, both the pulmonary vein and the normal veins, the blood is flowing, it's not from the heart, right, it's from different parts of the body to heart. That's what it happens. So here deoxygenated blood travels at a lower pressure, so they have thinner walls. Okay. What will happen if platelets were absent in the body? What is the in the blood, what is the role of platelets? Platelets help in clotting of blood and all, right. If any hurt is if you get any hurt, then the platelets will clot that area. Platelets will clot the area, okay, and it will prevent any further flow. But in the absence of them, these will be affected. There will be excessive flow of blood, and the rest of the body parts will fail to work. Like when there is some kind of imbalance in the procedure, it's going to be affected. 69. Plants have low energy needs as compared to animals. Okay, what is the reason? What is the reason? We have to explain. Okay, what is the reason? Is the main reason is locomotion. Locomotion is movement, right? So the body keeps moving in the case of animals. In the animals, they move to different paths for the search of food, right? In search of food they move, in search of mating and for drinking water, etc. They keep moving to different places. But plants, every necessities are around it, right? In an ideal case, it's all available, so it doesn't have to move much. So the plants are not locomotive, while the animals are locomotive. Hence the energy requirements for animals are higher than the plants. Okay, yes. And also one more thing is, in plants most of the cells are dead cells, so they will not require much energy. They are dead, right? What is the necessity to provide energy? While in animals, definitely most of them are living, they are alive, so they will have energy requirements. Next, why and how does water enter continuously into the root xylem, into the root? Okay, so there are two reasons, if you remember. Okay, one is the difference in the concentration of ions, difference in concentration of ions, number one, and number two is transpiration. Okay, so first let's draw a simple diagram of a plant. This is the stem, and okay, this is the leaves. This is a very rough diagram, definitely. Okay, we forgot to draw the roots. Where is it? Okay, So first what happens is there is difference in the concentration of ions in the root here. Okay, so that time what happens is, because of the difference in the concentration, the water around, okay, the water around will enter into the roots, the first thing. So in the lower edges, in the lower branches, the water can enter easily because of this concentration difference in the concentration itself. But some leaves will be at this point. In the case of tall trees, they might be here and here and there and there. So that time how will it reach? That the main thing is because of transpiration. Transpiration is loss of water in the form of water vapor through aerial parts of the plants. Okay, so here in this leaf, suppose when there is excess of transpiration, there will be less water. So to fulfill this, there will be pressure difference. The time the water from here will enter here. Okay, so there is no continuous loss. Before, when there was continuous loss, it will take the water and it will fulfill the water requirements. So this is how it takes place. You have to write first it's due to difference in the concentration of ions. Next is transpiration. Okay, so this is the 70th question. 71st question, why is transpiration important for plants? Why is transpiration important for plants? Yes, now only we have discussed one reason of it. Okay, let's just clear out some space. Okay, so the two reasons are, like, main two reasons is, one is because it helps in the flow of water. Okay, and number two is excess of water or unwanted, when there is excess of water and it is not required by the plants, through transpiration only it is lost. Okay, actually at a few times water can be a waste product for the plants. When it is excess or when it is unnecessary, it can get rid of those through transpiration. Okay, yes. Next, 72, how do leaves of plants help in excretion? What is the role? Yes, so here also there are two roles. Number one is carbon dioxide. Okay, carbon dioxide is actually taken in, and it can be a waste product as well. How is it? Oxygen is a waste product during photosynthesis of plants, while carbon dioxide is a waste product during the respiration of plants. So it has two roles, and yeah, okay. And number two is transpiration. It helps. So how is transpiration related to excretion? Just now we have seen that excess of water can be lost through transpiration. Excess of water can be an excretory product for the plants as well. So these are the reasons. Okay, and these are the points that comes under how do leaves of plants help in excretion. Okay guys, we'll end up the session today, and long question and answers will be coming in the next video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely spread the key of success, spread knowledge. Thank you.